Okay, so we're going to deal with CSS in styling forms. Okay, and there are a few things I did not mention when I was doing form elements in HTML, my previous video. So what I did not mention is, if I have, for example, input text like a normal basic form and I save, we still have the input here, even though I did not specify this in a form. But now what happens as in this is now, this is a form input, but it's not a form because it's not a complete form, because maybe if I have a submit button and I submit, what handles the form? You understand? So now there's nothing to handle that form, but now you can have an input here. You can also have a button.
Are you expecting?
What?
Are you expecting?
No, I'm not expecting. You can have a button, or let me use that. I'm recording, but I'm not expecting. You can have the input type as submit.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Submit. Value will now be what we have inside there as submit. Okay, now I have this. This is a form. If I submit this now, what am I submitting to? It's not there. It's not specified in form action because I don't have the form. But you can still use JavaScript to say, on click of this button, what should happen? Maybe your JavaScript should take this code and do something with it. But if you are sending this to a form handler like using PHP or Python, if you use form and specify your method, it's going to send it as we have learned before. So there's another input type which I want to show us before we dive directly into the CSS. We have input type of range of number, input type number, and save. I've removed everything. Now what we have input type is number. If I hover on it, see what happens. You see what I was trying to tell you about? So this is input type of number. We did not treat this in our previous video. And also we have another input type of range. Input type of range and save. See what happens. This is another type of input type. It's like number, where this can be 100 and this can be 0. So you can just drag to see what happens. Now you can actually use here, let me use it on number. Use a mean to be maybe 20 and the max to be 40 and save. Now if you come here and you go up, you see what happens.
Yeah,
it starts from 20, which is the mean, and 40 is going to be the max.
yes.
So if you are dealing with a form where you are telling users to enter their age and you want to limit it to make sure they maybe start from their age start from 18 a year, something like this, you leave it this way, put mean and max. In the same way, if you use mean and max for the range, the lowest value will be the mean value and the highest value will be the max value. So that's what I wanted to show us. So let me remove this and also remove this, and let's enter styling in proper. If we have input I'm going to omit the form now because we've treated HTML coming with form. Now we are into styling of this.
You said?
Now I'm going to leave the form. That's the form tag. You understand? I want to leave it out for now because this comes with HTML and now we are dealing with CSS on how to style it. Or let me just put it Control X and V. It's still the same thing. It doesn't change anything. You understand? It doesn't change anything. But I want to leave this out because I don't want it to be crowded. So let's concentrate on styling our input. There's also input type email. You use input type email and save. If somebody
I want to, like, since you're starting this, I want to work with you on this one so that I can.
No, this is CSS. This is styling. I'm not going through forms again. So, and I'm recording. So if I use input type, I'm just trying to remember what I omitted on our last video. So this input type email, if I come here on my input and this is specified email and I type maybe my name here, it's not going to, if maybe there's a submit here, for example, there's a submit. Form, let me put it in the form. Sorry. There are some things I omitted, but that's because I didn't have a note. And you have submit input of let's have submit value of submit. We have this, okay, email and this. So if we have something like I type my name here and take submit, see what it's telling us. Please include an @ it's not seeing this as an email because we've told it to get an email. You see, we've told it to get an email. If we decide to come here,
email.
Yes, we decide to come here and put number and save. Now we've told you to get a number. If you type maybe a text, it's not even typing. Nothing is typing except it's a number. So all these things are called form validation. If we type here text, you can take anything. You can take number, you can take text. Okay. Now let's style this. Let's style this. Let me add another form here for email input and select email. There's also file. If I select file and save, see what happens. Choose file. You now choose a file from your computer. This is actually easy, but it looks like you have done much coding here. And I select maybe this generator. See it here. I've selected this file. It's now attached to anything I'll submit. It's just this input file, and you know what name is for. Name is for the backend person to know what he's receiving, and ID will now be tied to the label. Maybe you have a label here for upload your CV. So that's how it works. We're going to style this now, and I'm going to style this using internal CSS so that we see what is happening. I don't want to go to my linked CSS. Style. Okay. Now the width of this, I can change it. If I want to target this form now, this input element, I can say, if I give it a class, maybe for example, we should know this class.
You want to start from your HTML?
Yes, I want to give it inline styling so that we can see both of them at the same time. Do you understand me?
Okay.
So that if I'm seeing the style, I'll see it at the same time. I don't want to go far. This is a tutorial class. This class, let me just call it in name. name input. I'm giving it the class of name input. I can come to my style and do dot name input. This is not what I want to show you, but I want us to do this first. Sorry, dot name input, and I give it a background color of maybe aqua. And save. You see it has changed, right?
Yeah.
Now you can also target this if you don't have a class here. Let me remove the class. You can still target it using input, which is the label. Now if you're using input and giving a background, it's going to target all the inputs on your page. Let's try it. You see, it has actually targeted all the inputs. I targeted my text, my file, and my button. Now how do I target them separately? You say input, you target them using the type, using their type. So you say input type equal to, that input of type equal to text, and if you save, it comes back to only this one. That's what I'm saying is target input that has the type of text. Target input with the type text. There's one very important input which I also omitted, which is password input. It's just like this input, and the type should be password, and save. Now this is it. If I type something here, see what happens. Do you understand what happens? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So do you see what happens? This input, I want to remove this input file. Okay. This is input text and this is input password. So the type, which is password, just makes it becomes password. It's not visible.
Okay.
This now is text, it's visible. So if I inspect this, maybe you go to any website and if inspect this, you actually see them. This is the first input type, second input text. Now imagine this is let me go to which website can I go to? Let me go to facebook.com. And I want to log in. I want to log out. Okay. Now look at this, and let me remove this too. What am I doing? Okay, let me remove this and also remove this. Let me just put a name here and I type something here. Now there are some websites which do not have this button here for you to view what you've typed here. In that case, you can always come here. This is password, you cannot view it. Come to input, you inspect it and locate where you have the input password. Change this password to text. That's you are trying to tell it the input should not be password again, it should be text, and press enter. Now you now see password is visible, even if this button is not.
Wait, did you change it from inspection?
Yes. Just go to inspection and change it to text. It's no longer password. You are going to view it, even if this button is not here.
Wait, on Facebook?
Anywhere at all. anywhere at all. And what I'm trying to show you is just to show you that Facebook is also using the same form we are talking about and the same form types. That's why I changed this now. If I change this to email and press enter, it's going to be expecting an email here. Now what it's expecting here is an email. Maybe if I come here and inspect, and maybe here I put range and enter, see what it's giving me now.
Okay, by the time you inspect and you alter the Facebook,
Yes, I alter the
and you
Facebook.
want to log in,
No,
yes.
if you are logging in now, it's sending your data to the back end. This is not in the back end. This is, I'm just changing what I'm seeing here. It doesn't affect everything. I'm just changing the code I've seen on my page. So that's just what I wanted to show
Okay,
you.
by the time you inspect and you actually alter it to what you are seeing, which is
Yes.
like the front page of your Facebook, Abi.
Yes.
Okay, that means you've altered their login
No.
style.
Is their login style fine? The static page you are seeing on your website, if you refresh it, it's going to go back to what was there
Their
before.
original.
Yes.
Okay.
So what you are changing now is just the static page, which is just there on your site. So even if you enter something there and you enter, the site knows is the one they have on their server.
Okay.
Okay. So this
I
is
was
where
just
we are.
wondering if it's that easy to actually.
No, it's not that easy. So where were we? Okay, I was talking about this input type, and also there's what they call placeholder. There's what they call placeholder. If you come to this place now and you say okay, placeholder, this is your input text, this one, placeholder, you give it, enter your name and save. See what happens. Do you see where it's written?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's now as a placeholder inside enter your name. This is called
Okay,
placeholder.
so
If you start typing, it disappears, and look at it, it's faint. So there are some forms you don't actually have label on them, but you just have placeholder, and you can still have label and placeholder. But this also explains to you what this field is doing. This one now you can also add a placeholder to the password. Enter your password, placeholder, sorry, placeholder, enter your password. So you see it. Once you start typing, it disappears. It doesn't add up to your password. But had it been you put a value here, it's value that will remain there. Maybe value of let me remove this. Come to text, value of fish. So this value of fish I've put here remains here, but if I remove it, I see placeholder. So this is how you can target. Here now I'm trying to target this input. Now let me target this other input. What do I do? I do input, and I want to target the input with type of password. Type password. And if I target it, what do I do to it? I give it a background color of yellow. save. So I'm using this type of targeting just to affect input with that type. We input type password. You can actually give it a class like we know and style it the way you want. You can actually come back here and see input. Now I'm targeting all the inputs no matter the type. I give it a width of, let's say, 50%. I'm giving a width of 50%. So see how long they are now. All of them are taking 50%. And maybe padding of 20 pixel. So you see what's happening, and you can give it a margin of that padding of 20 pixel I gave. That's why you have this space here, so that if you want to start typing, you don't just start typing from this pad. Let me remove the padding so that you can see and save. Now you see, if I want to start typing, everything is just choked up there. So it's always good to give a padding of something, maybe 10% or anything, but making it this big so that we can actually see the effect. Let me put this like this. And margin, if I give it a margin of maybe 20 pixel, this margin now is going to be all round margin. So you're going to give margin top, left, right, and on bottom. It's going to separate these two too. So let me save this, and you now see it. Let me make it 10 pixel. I can now target this button, only this button. Input submit buttons are not this big or this long. I can target input. You can actually give it a class and target it using the class, but you can still target it using the type method. And what's the type of that submit button? The type is submit. And what am I doing to it? I want to give it a width, a small width of let's give 15. Let's give it 100 pixel and save. It's not affecting it, but it may not be affecting it because of this one I've given you. This is more general to this, I think so. So let me comment this and save.
You're working on submit, right?
Yes, this is submit, and give it maybe 500 pixel. It's not affect input. Okay, I did not spell type well, so I'm going to undo. And save. Okay, I did not spell type well, this type.
Yeah.
And save. So it has given it 100 pixel. So under this password, I can just give it maybe a BR, or if I don't want to, if I give it a BR, for example, it's going to break and come under. If I don't give it a BR, I can go back to the input, this submit input, and give it display block. If I am giving display block, I'm telling it to become block and a block element, and every block element exactly. So I can save it now.
That's not block.
That's not block. So it's trying to occupy its whole line. So that is it. Now, if you look at this, if I click on this, on any element, you see it becomes darker. If I select any of them, look at this, it changes. You see, darker. Okay, for now, let me remove the padding. let me remove the border. Let me remove the border for only these two elements. That's the password and the username. Border none and save. And for this one too, border and none. Now you don't see any border, right? But once I click, it has a border. And maybe I don't want this. So what I'm going to do is, I can say for this element, only for maybe for the name, element, I say, okay, I just want to check, make sure I'm recording. For the name, I say this now is targeting this name, this text. For every text input, focus. That's focus means when you are focused on it. Like if I click now, I focused on it. I click here, I focused on it. Focus, what should happen? Outline, that thing you see there is called outline. It's not really border. It's not the border. It's outline. Now there's no border. Outline should be none. You see, this one doesn't have that outline again. Okay, let me show you something here. I do border equal to, let's say, 2 pixel solid red and save. You see what happens now with this now. If I remove this, or if I comment this, look at this.
Okay. The black is still there.
This black now is the outline is overshadowing that outline. This outline I've removed is overshadowing my border. So that's why I have to remove this outline. You understand? I have to remove it. Removing it means, I have to put outline none. I don't need outline. So that if I'm putting a border, I should see it and not the outline. So using outline none means I don't want that effect. Look at this one. I've not done any styling on this. If I click, I see the outline, but I don't want it. So I'm going to remove the outline. So I can, in other words, come to my input, which targets all my input elements, and do outline.
John.
Outline to be none and save. So with this now, I can remove this outline here. But here, I've targeted all the input elements. If I click on this, it doesn't do anything. This is because of this border I've given. Let me highlight it. So if I click on my input, it doesn't give me any outline. You see? So if I want to add a border on focus, focus means when it's focused to it, we have this. So I can still come to my input, this thing now I've written here. I can still generalize it to all the input elements by removing this. This specifies only for the text input element. So if I specify this and save, you can have this. So you see, even on submit, because submit is an input element, once I click, I have it. Once I click, I have it highlighted like this with border. So I don't think there's much on CSS for the form. Since we already know CSS on our own, we can actually apply all of those in forms.
Okay, so this styling is inline style.
This is called inline styling because it's the same on the same page.
Okay. Is the inline styling easier than CSS styling?
What?
Is it kind of easier than?
It's the same thing. Look at, for example, now I remove it. Let me cut it. I've removed it. See what I have here is just this now. So what I'll do now is I'll link my CSS, which is this, then go
Sorry,
to my
boss.
CSS and paste this.
Mirror.
And if I save, everything remains the same. If I save, everything remains the same. So it's still the same thing. I think I'm already done with this CSS part of it. So I can just end the recording and post it.